A to the K.
To the K.
To the K. Hello, one and all. Welcome to the A to the K Wrestling Show. We're coming up tonight on the Ringside Report. Is Becky Lynch set to return at Survivor Series War Games?
I don't know, Carl, but what I do know is that the Royal Rumble has set a new record.
Ooh. Andrade El Idolo bids farewell.
Speaking of farewells, Carl, Bryan Danielson has set his retirement plans.
Speaking of farewells, Anthony, Jamie Noble is set for his retirement match very soon.
Speaking of no, this doesn't work anymore. Freddie Prinze Jr. comments on LA Knight.
Brandi Rhodes gives an update on if she will return back into the ring.
Bow Wow has been confronted by the baddies.
Yes, he has. Matt Hardy teases a return of the broken gimmick.
Thunder Rosa has been sadly stripped of the AEW Women's title.
And might we see MJF in the UFC? Anthony, when's all this coming up?
It's all coming up right fucking now.
Yes, it is. And firstly, happy Thanksgiving. Although when
happy
this comes out,
day.
that was today. So hope you had a lovely Thanksgiving. Apologies for the tardiness this week. I got a bit of the man flu. A little bit of the man flu.
A little bit of the flu.
A little bit of man flu. But we're powering on through. It's what we do. We don't let you down.
We're going to break on through to the other side.
That's it. Sure, that's a song. Is that a song?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, speaking of songs, I don't know. Becky Lynch, could she be returning, Anthony, as soon as Saturday?
What?
Now, speculation from Frightful
hey,
is that
he did the thing.
Becky Lynch is ready to return. And as we know, which I think is going to be revealed tomorrow night on SmackDown, or tonight if you're watching this on Friday, the final member of Bianca's team is going to be revealed. Now, the speculation is that that will be none other than Becky Lynch herself.
Nice. And
she will be the one to make up that
honestly
team.
Like I've said things in the past about Becky's character. I've not been a big fan. I enjoyed her return, and I've kind of missed her, so I'll be looking forward to her return. I do hope that is the case.
That's it. I mean, she's the man, isn't she? So
he's the man.
But yeah, I mean, she is going to come back as a face. It was alluded to, wasn't it? And a return to the man character.
Carl with the big words.
I don't want to sound apropos, but I got a lot more fucking money. I could.
Indubitably.
So yeah, it's an interesting one, this, because there's a lot of speculation who the fifth person could be. Kind of getting like old WCW and like NWO vibes here. Who is he? The third man? That can't be the third man. But is Becky the fifth woman?
She's still the man. So.
Well, exactly. Is Becky the fifth woman? That's the man.
The man. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. But
me neither.
So I mean, who else could it be? Charlotte Flair.
Yeah,
could be someone just on the roster. Like, that'd be underwhelming. It's Raquel Rodriguez.
It's Dana Brooke. Oh wait, we tried that.
So yeah, we never know. But yeah, we could see the man return either this Friday or this Saturday at War Games.
War Games. I love it. I love it.
And we will be giving our Survivor Series War Games predictions this week as well. So check that out.
Check it out.
Speaking of things that we should check out.
Well, Carl, the Royal Rumble has broke a new record. Well, broke its own record, I suppose. So basically, this is in relation to ticket sales. They've passed the 5 million mark already, which is insane. No, sorry, is it 5 million mark?
I was going to say
no, the 5 million mark.
5 million tickets sold
over the weekend. Royal Rumble surpassed now the $5 million. Sorry, I probably should have been clear what that number was.
That's a big arena.
No, the $5 million mark. Okay. Well, just to give you an idea in terms of numbers, Carl, this is a 33,874 seat arena, and 30,361 tickets have already been sold.
That seemed quite small for a Rumble.
I don't know, but what I do know is they nearly filled that fucker, and they haven't really gone heavy on the whole buy your tickets now.
Yeah.
Just selling itself. And what we always said, even a bad Royal Rumble is a good Royal Rumble.
Except for last Royal Rumble, which
was a bad Royal Rumble and a bad Royal Rumble.
It was. But you know, that was just
that's the exception, not the rule.
Exactly. That's pretty cool though, isn't it? I think WWE specifically, more so than AEW, is on an upward trajectory at the minute.
And,
isn't it? So,
naturally, anytime WWE does anything like this and they sell tickets, everyone has to go, well, this is AEW dead, because for some reason there was, you know, connected constantly.
Pretty much,
connected.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. That's good news all around. I know we're going to be watching it, and I can't wait to watch it as well. Because as you say,
you're gonna have to.
Rumbles.
You're gonna have to, Carl.
Well, that's it. I mean, even the bad rumbles. You know what I mean? There ain't no bad rumbles except for the last one. So speaking of other things, and this one's kind of short and sweet, but which is ironic considering how long this has been dragging on for.
And he's not that short.
Or sweet, apparently. But Andrade has taken to Twitter to effectively say, you know, thanks and goodbye.
So long. And thanks for all the fish.
Basically, the same thing as MJF said. Thank you, fuck you, whatever that thing was.
Nice.
But yeah, so Andrade's posted on Twitter. I haven't got the exact quotes because we're lousy at what we do.
It's someone. Is it someone? It's somewhat cryptic, isn't it, really? Because we don't know he's leaving AEW. He's certainly teasing that. But what's the aim here?
Well, exactly. But it's pretty much alluded that.
This is what worries me about AEW. When they have a place for Jeff Jarrett and not for Andrade.
Don't even get me fucking started on Jeff Jarrett.
I just like to mention him every once in a while just to wind you up.
Don't do it. Fucking slap
him up and watch him go.
Well, exactly. And it's a shame. I don't think anyone is going to pretend like he had an amazing run with AEW because he didn't. There was flashes of something, like especially when they brought in Roosh and it was like, oh, the Faction Ingomitable, whatever the fuck it was called. Just linguistic.
How memorable that was.
But, you know, they could have done some cool stuff and unfortunately it never really happened. But the same thing happened in WWE, didn't it? So he's desperate to go back there, which obviously Charlotte's there, so it kind of makes sense.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like, I suppose there's the Charlotte thing, but when you look at it and go, well, you didn't really have any worse a run than you did in WWE. So,
no.
like,
I suppose he's thinking,
you?
like in NXT, that was like his big moments, wasn't it? And obviously with Triple H now running the main, he's probably the prime candidate.
But Sean, he needs. Sean will put a mask on you, call your scripts, and send you on your way.
Fucking scripts. I kind of wish we had to put it in the news just so we could absolutely shit all.
Well, I've brought it up now. Let's moan.
It was awful.
Fucking ridiculous.
Such a disappointment as well.
Such a disappointment.
Baggy fucking. It's like
it doesn't help that we never liked them anyway.
Well, there is that. Maybe there's a little bit of a bias there ahead of that, but awful.
Oh, his main highlights of his career so far have been, being a sommelier and trying to intimidate women.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I'm hoping he has a better run of scripts.
It's not looking good so far, but we will see. So yeah, Andrade potentially gone.
Potentially gone. Such a sad day.
It is.
Right, so speaking of sad days and potentially gone, Carl, Bryan Danielson has revealed his retirement plans, if you will. And interestingly, he's kind of not really offered one. Ooh. Like, he said that he basically hinted that at the end of his contract, which we believe was a 3-year contract, although he signed last year, so we think we've got another couple of years of full-time Bryan. But in terms of his wrestling in-ring career, he doesn't ever want to quit. He never wants to leave that. As long as he can, he will. So what he's saying is really, after this contract, he plans on not being a full-time wrestler.
Okay.
So I don't know whether that's like, there's a lot of information there. It's like, well, are you going to be, you know, on a part-time deal with AEW? Or are you going to be on no deal with AEW and just, you know, doing what you want, touring, having some fun? He, like, you know, he's referenced people, I'm trying to think who he referenced now, like the likes of Jerry the King, for instance, who, you know, they've had a few appearances, they've had fun with it, but even likes of Booker, well, he didn't reference Booker T, but you know, people who can, they can still take a bump here and there, and you know, they can still have a bit of fun, they can have a match. He'd look at Ric Flair, for God's sake.
Maybe I'd do like John Cena type thing, or Brock Lesnar thing, go back to WWE on a very reduced schedule.
Maybe he'll go back to WWE, maybe he'll go back to Ring of Honor.
Hi, Colt Cabana. I mean, fuck you, Colt Cabana. Times change so quick.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting conversation he's had. And it seems that we don't have to worry just yet, but we may not see Bryan on TV as much as we'd like soon.
Well, it's interesting that he signed a 3-year deal, and it was last year that he joined?
Last year he joined.
He had a bit of time out injured as well, didn't he?
So you think that gets added on? Extend it? So they have injury time? What is this? Football?
What is going on? It's the World Cup, why not? Yeah, weird situation. It's interesting as well. I saw something recently from him where people have been kicking off of his booking in AEW, and he said, you know, being the champion isn't what kind of gets him off. To turn a phrase, it's working with the younger talent. So, you know,
I kind of get it. Like, I think it's almost disrespectful is not the right word. That's an over exaggeration, but like, I think he's got to a point that titles aren't the thing. He's been out there in the wrestling world for a long time. He's earned the titles. He's had some of the top titles, right? Maybe, yeah, it'd be nice to add the AEW onto his list, but that's clearly not what he's about right now.
No.
So, doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, each to their own. Not everyone has to be a title chaser, dude.
No.
But interesting to say the least.
Entitled.
Untitled at the moment.
Untitled. Love it.
So, again, short and sweet this one, but definitely noteworthy. So Jamie Noble has announced his retirement match, and you may be thinking, but he hasn't wrestled in ages, and that's true.
But he's gonna
have his retirement match under the WWE umbrella. Now, obviously, he's working as a road agent at the minute for WWE, and a lot of us will remember him from, you know, his earlier days on SmackDown with Nydia and that kind of Jamie Noble. But after he left WWE originally, he went on to have an absolute tear in the likes of Ring of Honor, which I didn't really see, which is a shame. I'll have to try and dig some of it out, because by all accounts, he had an awesome run. We've seen him recently as, you know, J&J Security with Seth Rollins. And every now and again we see him breaking up fights on Raw.
That's true.
As he does. But yeah, I believe he's going to have his retirement match on December the 10th or 11th. I forget the actual date, but it's going to be in his hometown, and it's going to be for WWE. So I think that's a nice way to kind of bring his career to a close.
Especially
in terms of the ring.
He's done other places, but his tenure has been WWE, hasn't he? He's a WWE guy.
Yeah,
so
God, yeah.
It's a nice place to...
So, fair play to him. And
you know what's brought it on? Because he certainly his in-ring career's been very infrequent in the recent years.
Yeah. Maybe it was just an opportunity for it. Maybe he just said, look, I'd like to... I never really had my retirement match with WWE in the way I wanted, so I'd like to go out, in my hometown, on my sword kind of thing. So, but
there's a sword involved. What is this?
He's wrestling
Drew McIntyre. Damn it, Carl.
Drew was going to kill him. That's why it's his retirement match. But yeah, I hope it all goes well, and it's a nice way to end it, I think.
Nice
indeed.
So next one, Carl. Freddie Prinze Jr. has been talking about LA Knight. And some people who, may not be aware will be like, what the fuck is the guy from John Tucker Must Die talking about wrestlers for? That's not him?
Not in that movie.
Which one was he in?
She's All That.
She's All That. I don't know.
You look the
fucking rom-coms. Right.
You're getting confused with Jesse.
I was trying to sound like I know what I'm talking about here. And then you just call me on it because you watch these things.
Scooby-Doo. You could have said She's All That.
He was in Scooby-Doo.
He was Fred.
He was Fred in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Wow, his filmography is obviously...
I think at that point he exclusively just played characters with the same name.
I should have just said Sandy from Friends. Not his biggest role, but at least I knew him in that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a lot of people will know him as an actor, but he was involved with the WWE writing team for a number of years, Carl, correct me if I'm wrong.
He was.
And was released, I think, during the big releases.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's a wrestling fan. He's been part of the wrestling biz, and you're going to sit down and listen to every word he has to say. So he was talking about LA Knight and the fact that, he was really hopeful for LA Knight in terms of the way they repackaged him away from Maximum Male Models, and, started building up this really popular and over gimmick that people knew him as, LA Knight, the badass, the apparently somewhat like Stone Cold type guy that he apparently is, even though Future I can't see champion. That fucking thing myself, but whatever. And he was talking about, they were doing a good job in repackaging him and building him up as a heel. But then he's mentioned, and I'll be honest, this is something I totally agree with, so there's a bias here, that they totally fucked up putting him up with Bray.
Yep.
Because Bray can't be a bad guy. The crowd fucking love him. So you're not going to get people on side with LA Knight feuding with Bray.
Nope.
And then he's referred to a particular segment where he had an altercation, if you will, with Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt headbutted him. And the way he's referred to it, he says, and then they had him get up, had him jump up like Daffy Duck. And it just tickled me, but he basically saying that he looks like total shit, in the way they're booking him against Bray, which doesn't help the build for LA Knight. And the reason I'm like, I totally agree with this is because this is what I moaned about with you the other day. We put a TikTok up, taking the mick out of this. That slap and run was shit, right? And I'll defend this, right? I don't care how many people are like, oh, it was so badass. It's not badass. Right? You want to compare it to Stone Cold? Stone Cold wouldn't have fucking hightailed it out the ring.
No.
Stone Cold would have stood there and faced him down. He looked like a bitch because he hit him and ran.
But he came back in, Anthony, and slapped him and ran again. So,
well, he wouldn't even come back in. Bray had to go over to him and go.
yeah.
It's like, I think they've booked it really, but I don't think they made him look tough. They made him look like someone who's trying to pick a fight with Bray, but doesn't really want it.
Yeah,
doesn't want the smoke.
I'm so underwhelmed. I could have used the whole whelmed,
we could have
joke here, but I'm just so underwhelmed.
Because he was in 10 Things About You, wasn't he?
Nope.
That one was deliberate. I know he wasn't in that. That's a good film.
Oh, savage. Freddie, if you ever come on the show one day, I will bring this clip up and
sorry.
You can give him his dues. I mean, similar to you, I've never really got the whole LA Knight thing in the first place, but I'm so underwhelmed by the Bray Wyatt, the way it's gone. Like, bringing it back, oh, what's all this? Oh, and then now he's just the guy who's like, gets angered, but I'm not going to do anything about it because I'm being good.
I say, if we're being honest, did anyone go, I can't wait for him to return and end up in a feud with
LA Knights where they slap each other?
That guy who we called Max Dupree for a week and then realised it was fucking shit.
Yeah. So, I agree with Freddie.
Nice one, Freddie.
Facts with Freddie. So the next one to talk about, Brandi Rhodes. We have discussed numerous times about a potential in-ring return for Brandi, and where that may be, whether she may go back to AEW, whether she may show up in WWE. And people reported on that she was down in the Performance Center for a bit and doing some training and things like that. And she's recently shed some light on it in terms of if we are going to see her back in the ring. And ultimately, she said that not in the immediate future. She said she's not the kind of person who likes to give absolutes, like her husband. And then, because sometimes she can't follow through.
So it's not like the person who give like absolutes and then totally, go against what I said. Yeah. Not that type of person.
No, totally not. No. Which I thought was quite funny, kind of tossing a bit of shade in a way. But, she doesn't want to say that, yes, she's definitely going to come back, and then she doesn't. So what she said is, obviously, she's had a lot of time away, time with her daughter. She's got Brandi on the Rocks. She's got a new podcast, Two Truths, One Lie, I think it's called. And she's got some other projects as well that she's working on, which she's going to be sharing soon, which are non-wrestling related.
Podcast, you nerd.
Yeah, anyway. Only nerds do podcasts. Well, to be fair, we're not podcast anymore.
Oh, right? Flex.
I kid. But yeah, so basically, it's not in her immediate plans to return to the ring, but she's not saying she never will. It's just with everything that she's got going on at the minute and the way her life is currently, she doesn't see that being a thing. She did go on to say as well, sorry, because you've got a point to make, but which I thought was interesting, is that it seemed like they did this move to WWE so Cody could follow his dream, and respectfully, she stepped away from the ring to allow him to do that. So in other words, if she would have stayed in AEW, she probably would have gone back in the ring.
Right, and he tore his pectoral off and hasn't been in the ring either.
Yeah,
good to know. Yeah. I will say, and this may not be a popular opinion because I know what a lot of people's opinions are on Brandi Rhodes, especially as an in-ring competitor. But I think it's kind of a shame because I do believe she has a good run in her career somewhere. Yeah. I don't think we've had it yet, and I think this is the problem. A lot of people are like, she's not even much of a wrestler anyway. Yeah. I think she could be. I think she could have a really good run. But she just hasn't had that moment to shine yet.
No, people do. It's like cool to shit on Brandi as a wrestler, isn't it? It's like exactly. That's the cool thing to do. And it's like, well, I think she showed a lot of promise and improvement every time I saw her. So.
Sadly, the reality is she's better at the other stuff. So you see that her wrestling in-ring technical skill is lacking. Yeah. There's been plenty of people in that position.
Like, maybe this is a more controversial opinion. I actually think her promo work and the storyline stuff she was involved in AEW was worse than her wrestling.
Agreed. But you see, this is the trouble, isn't it? Because there was not a real pop for her. And I think if they'd have got the right story at the right time, and obviously she was more polished in the ring, I don't think it'd take much for her to have a really good fucking run. Yeah. And it's just a shame we've not had it, and it's a shame that it doesn't seem like we'll get it anytime soon.
I know. She was on the cusp of a lot of things. She had Nightmare Collective, and then obviously, God, what's her name? Awesome Kong got injured.
Yeah. And well, ultimately, career finishing, wasn't it?
And then, that ended up getting shut down quicker than we expected. And then she was going to do the thing with Red Velvet and the Shaq match and stuff, and then
that got done.
Yeah, it ended up being Jade, and so
it's been a shame, really. But I do hope we get to see her in the ring again, because I think there's room there for her to have a really good, memorable run as a wrestler.
I agree. I concur.
I concur as well. So, speaking of women's wrestling, Carl, Bow Wow, on his recent Millennium Tour, was confronted by someone he's been feuding with online. He was confronted by Jade and the baddies.
Yes, he was.
Now, a lot of people are suggesting that, I love when you can't be sure. And this is probably, for me, I feel like we know that this is a work. But I love that people on the internet are like, no, there's definite actual beef there. But this is clearly building to some sort of work. And Bow Wow has previously expressed an interest in appearing in AEW. Mm-hmm. So I think we're probably going to get some sort of match here.
Well, technically,
he
fulfilled that goal yesterday, didn't he? Because they showed the clip or whatever on Dynamite. Fair. So he's been on AEW, but where's it going to go?
I mean, let's face it. Jade is like, what do you call it? She's like, people will hate this comparison. She's like Rhea Ripley levels of like, she could roll in the men's division. You know what I mean? There isn't like a crazy size differential where you're like, oh, that didn't work. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, this could work. A feud between Jade and Bow Wow. Do you know what I mean?
It's not something anyone had on the bingo card.
That wasn't on my bingo card, but that we could definitely get that.
Yeah, it's a fascinating one, to be fair. I don't really know where it's going either, because we got it seems like Kiera Hogan is being kicked out of the baddies now, and Red Velvet came back. So I don't know. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. And that other one, I feel really bad. What the fuck? What's her name? The other member of the baddies is like still there as well, kind of in the background, who like they didn't want to let in, but then they kind of did. Feel so bad for forgetting.
I was hoping it was listed here, but I've only got Cargill, Red Velvet, and Kiera.
Yeah. So yeah, I think
the other one, and the other one.
Yeah, and the other one. But no, it's definitely, I don't think, something that any of us thought we were going to see. I don't know how it would work, whether it be some kind of match or whether it's going to be some kind of angle. But
I mean, he strikes me as the type of guy who'd want to do at least take a bump, So we'll see.
Oh yeah, I can see it like
throwing into a table or something.
Well, I mean, that's purely speculation. But yeah, we shall see where that goes. But definitely a wild, a wild turn of events. Speaking of wild turn of events, Matt Hardy posted on his Twitter the other day. I believe it was an old clip, but I could be wrong. Around the kind of the broken universe. So it was like an aerial shot of his house, and he walks out of his door, and he's like, basically, I wanted you guys to come into my house and Brother Nero to come into my house to kind of show you my house. It wasn't the best promo.
Like Cribs.
Kind of
crazy
really,
Cribs.
Really shit version of Cribs. But a lot of people are now speculating, because he posted this, are we going to see a return of that broken gimmick? And the fact that Brother Nero was referenced as well, people are thinking, well, Jeff, depending on the outcome of his case, which is going to be middle of December, is he also going to be a part of this? And is the broken universe going to come back? How would you feel if it did? Because I wasn't a fan of Big Money Matt.
I'll probably prefer it over Big Money Matt. I just never really got the whole broken
You always said it made you feel like you were just so old, like you just generationally.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Didn't speak to you, did it?
I just felt like an old man, in the clouds. I just don't know what's happening here.
But it's like, AEW didn't, like, WWE did it worst. Like, AEW did okay with it, but they focused too much on the weird drone and stuff. And
yeah, I feel like the drone probably got a better run than Matt, in all honesty.
But the stuff in Impact, that it was
well,
good.
It got to a fever pitch in Impact, where they had a whole pay-per-view around his gimmick.
That's it. It all took place in the Hardy compound, and there was all these like cameos, and the Hurricane was there, and his gardener became a fucking big sensation. It was like,
and that's where it's Impact that lost me the most. I'm like, I do not know what's happening.
Yeah,
and I'm sure a lot that's maybe meant to be the idea, but there's people who were sat there like, I don't know what's happening and I love it. I'm like, I'm confused and old.
it just hurts.
Please
my
make
brain.
it stop. Where's Hulk Hogan?
Oh God. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be against it, to be fair, if it was done. I'm
always open to this as an opportunity for me to understand what's going on. Right? I'm all for it. If they want to do the gimmick, and I go, I get it now.
Bring it back so it will make sense. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah. So yeah, maybe it will, maybe it won't.
Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
And speaking of things that maybe will or maybe won't,
this is worrying to me, right? So I totally get, right, and let's be clear. There's no suggestion that Thunder Rosa is unhappy in her position in AEW, right? The injury is apparently legit, not to quote Tony Storm, and a lot of people have speculated, she wasn't happy, and that's why she walked out. She didn't want to drop the belt to Tony, etc. But they kept the belt on her, and it was an interim thing. And what I'll be clear on, first of all, is that Thunder was happy to relinquish the title. Like, from the off, she was happy to relinquish the title. So the phrasing that they've stripped it from her, that's like an official thing. They've had to strip the title from. I get that. But this wasn't like a, we're taking it, go fuck yourself kind of approach, But given the time, and it seems like it's going to be a considerable, bigger bit of time that Thunder is going to be out of action, they've decided that not only are they requesting that she relinquish the title, and therefore Jamie Hayter is no longer the interim women's champion, she is the women's champion. Not only are they doing that, they're suggesting that Toni Storm's run will be acknowledged as not an interim title run. It was exactly. So that's cool for them, and that's awesome. The bit that worries me, because as you know, I am a Thunder Rosa mark, is that Thunder actually put up on her Twitter, and she's put, "Thank you, #ThunderArmy, for all the support, and at AEW for being there for me." That's positive, I like that. But she also wrote, "Dreamlike moments happened in this run, and this is not how I wanted to lose the championship, but you deserve a present champion. On to the next chapter." And it's that last little line that worries me.
Yeah, I'm hoping I
want her back in AEW.
Hopefully she means on to the next chapter for the belt.
I really hope so.
And not for her.
But you know what? It feels a little bit like she's saying goodbye. And I'm like, I think she deserves better from AEW. Not from AEW, that they haven't done her any disrespect, but I think she needs another run in AEW. And to be honest, they're coming back to a feud with Jamie Hayter. It's fucking an awesome idea for me.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens, because we don't know how long she's going to be out for. This is an update on her injury. We just know it's long enough that they've gone, you know what, we're going to have to drop the interim thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stories that could be written there if she, were to come back. Obviously, she's still got unfinished business with Britt, who obviously is an ally of Jamie, who's the champion. She's got unfinished business with Toni Storm, who took the belt, in her absence. And then obviously there's Jamie, there's Saraya. There's a lot of stuff that I think we'd all want to see. But hopefully she can get healthy, and hopefully the door is open for her to come back.
Thunder, she might even go down as like a bit underrated here, because I think she's done so much for women's wrestling in the especially in the indie scene, and she needs that TV spots, that run,
Yeah.
Even if I don't want her to go to WWE, but even if she went to WWE, I'd be cool with it.
Yeah, I'd like for her to be back, in some capacity, hopefully in AEW, but yeah, we'll see. Hopefully she can recover from, her injuries, and we shall see.
Indeed, we shall see.
So the final one, it's a bit of a mad one, this, that kind of feels like it's come out of nowhere, but might we see MJF in the UFC, Anthony?
Do you know what, right? I'm more enamoured with the fact that he picked a fight with a Scouser than I am the fact that it's UFC.
I know, it's so funny.
I understand this.
Yeah, okay, so Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. I don't actually know who started the war of words. Was it Paddy or was it MJF?
I believe, as I understand it, it was Paddy, because MJF was talking about how he knew UFC, and I may be misconstruing the whole situation, but I think it span from MJF talking about the UFC and having friends who were in the UFC, and even they wouldn't go near the wrestling ring because the falls hurt. And he said, as people who've done UFC, who's took a bump and gone, no, fuck that, that's not for me.
Yeah.
And basically he was just emphasizing that it's not fake, it's real.
Yeah.
It's predetermined, it's scripted, it's theatrics, and it's exaggerated, but it's real, and it hurts, and it's dangerous, and people should give more respect to wrestlers and what they do.
Yeah.
So the whole point he was making in that interview was about respecting wrestlers and their craft, and he hates it when, and it staying somewhat in character is like, I hate it when it never happens to me because my matches are fucking awesome, but when people chant like this is boring and stuff like that, he hates that kind of reaction, because they are doing their craft and they are risking themselves for you. So, and you can totally agree with what he's saying, but obviously they've ended up in a little bit of a Twitter battle over UFC versus wrestling. Yeah,
I saw Paddy bit initially and was like, when you come down to Craven Cottage or whatever, then
tagging Tony Khan as well, and
Dana. It was kind of like, I'll see you at UFC London or whatever. It was kind of started there, and then MJF had a bit of a back and forth exchange and was like, well, I might just show up on the 10th of December in Las Vegas, which is where Paddy's next fight is. So it's like, ooh, okay, that's interesting. But then somehow Conor McGregor is now involved in this. So this has got arms and legs because...
Yeah. Well, he called him a dollar store Conor McGregor.
Yeah, and Conor was like, even a dollar store Conor
he's
McGregor.
worth millions, which I thought was quite good.
Yeah, and I still don't know who this guy is. And then obviously... And then this was a bit poor from MJF, to be fair. But he basically was like, called him a leprechaun. It's like, that's the easiest insult. I expected better. But still, you know... It's
as far as insults go, that was mid.
That was mid, MJF. Come on, you're better than that, Jesus. But I'm down for this. Like, I'd love it if we could set something up and MJF's at least in the crowd or something with. I mean, let's be honest. They've got an in, haven't they, with American Top Team and Dan Lambert and that. So
the only thing, you wonder like where this should go, because I can't see Paddy wanting to do a wrestling match in which he loses.
I don't think it'd be asked.
Do you wonder? Do you not reckon? Because I don't know, it feels like it's more important for their win records than it is in wrestling,
Yeah.
So you go, well, I mean, I know people will know it's wrestling, but again, some people fucking don't, do they?
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to see how it works, whether because I don't think, with all respect, I don't think MJF's getting into UFC Octagon.
No, I can't.
This is going to be a wrestling thing, isn't it? It's going to be a story told.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it
suits better than
it could end up with absolutely nothing, but the thing that intrigues me is, are we going to see MJF in Vegas on December 10th?
No. Are we going to see MJF in Liverpool?
Maybe we will.
In the bombed out church.
I mean, obviously we saw him in Liverpool, but it still like shocked me when he was like talking about him as a Scouser and all that, and it was like, how does he know what a Scouser is, you little rapscallion? So yeah, I thought it was quite funny. But again, another thing that we didn't have on our bingo cards: MJF UFC.
MJF UFC.
OMG.
LOL. WTF.
Yeah.
Okay,
that'll do. So yeah, that was the news.
And that's all we have.
Short and sweet.
Are you doing it? Are you signing off as MJF? Are you doing an MJF sign off?
What is it though? Just thank you, fuck you, bye.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe. But first,
it's like this weird equivalent. Then, now, forever.
I like that.
I think we need to make that.
But before we do sign off, obviously, you may see a couple of little changes on our announce table here. So, firstly, we wanted the promo code for Top Rope visible at all times. So, A to the K10 at topropebrewing.com.
This one here.
Cameras. So make sure you go over there. They've got these new mini kegs of all the new birthday flavors. So go and check them out.
There's like a red velvet cake one or something.
There is.
Need that in mind.
Got a bitter as well there now. I think it's what's it called? Like turnbuckle bitter, something like that. So definitely check that one out.
And which is still a wrestling related one because most fans are bitter.
This is very true. Let's see what you did there. And obviously, Pro Wrestling Tees, you can go and buy our stuff, including our latest design, which is by our friends at Alt Wrestling Tees. So you can find them on Instagram as well. And we've got another T-shirt collaboration coming from those guys really soon as well.
Really talented dudes.
I'm not that I'm not a fan of the House of Purple, but I'm a big fan of this new one.
Yes.
I'm going to be buying that one myself. So make sure you keep your eyes out for that. But Alt Wrestling Tees, you can find those guys on Instagram, and obviously buy our stuff either via Pro Wrestling Tees or via the Redbubble site that Alt Wrestling Tees do as well. So,
but the important thing is buy it all.
Yeah,
buy a keg, buy 2 T-shirts, sit down, put your T-shirt on, drink your keg,
and while you're sitting there wearing your T-shirt, drinking your keg, why aren't you watching Pro Wrestling TV?
God damn right!
If you are watching us right now, you'd be thinking, "I am you dickhead." So that wasn't meant for you. If you're watching us on YouTube, then
the fuck you doing?
So you should go and check out Pro Wrestling TV because they've just got MLW on there. So there's awesome stuff. You may have seen our interview with Alex Hammerstone, the current world champ, legend of a guy, and
Absolutely.
There's so many other great talent there as well. We've got Maria Kanellis' Women's Wrestling Army. So the new season of that just premiered.
New South Pro Wrestling on there.
New South Warrior Wrestling.
Local lads TNT.
We've got so much stuff, and that's just the ringside. There's other talk shows. There's documentaries. There's shitloads of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Offer Chops is on there.
Offer Chops.
Chop Sports is on there.
Yeah, a lot of chops, really.
Yeah.
Offer Chops, Chop Sports.
Lamb Chops.
Maybe.
And Bell to Bells is one of the other ones as well. There's tons of like talk show content.
Alicia Ataut's got
she's on there now. I'm glad you said it because I didn't know how to pronounce her surname.
I don't think I said that right either, so sorry, Alicia. But
yeah. So there's just tons of awesome talk show content. There's even like some not a great deal of it yet, but I love that it's there and they're building to it. There's some like documentary film type stuff on there.
There's the Hogan one. Have you seen that? That's pretty good.
So absolute tons of content. If you're a wrestling fan, this is wrestling content 24/7. It's
absolutely
awesome.
Absolutely. So make sure you check that out. And until next week, thank you, fuck you, and bye.